Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of the Sunday School Review. This week's Sunday School lesson is entitled Jesus Overpowers Legion, and is taken from the Gospel of Mark, the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 13, and verses 18 through 20. And there are three outlines that we have. The first outline is arrivals. The second outline is confrontation. And the third outline is departures. Now, the Gospel of Mark was written by John Mark. Now, John Mark was not one of the 12. John Mark was a companion of Barnabas and Paul on his first missionary journey. Now, Mark is considered, Mark is the shortest gospel and probably the first, okay? And Mark's focus was to the Romans, okay, but also we know it has general application also. Now, let's look at our first few verses here, and that is, as I said, from the 5th chapter of Mark. The first outline is verses 1 through 5. Let's look at the first 3 or 4 verses here. And the first verse says, "And they came over unto the other side of the sea and to the country of the Gadarenes." Now, Jesus and his disciples were on the other side of the Sea of Galilee. And incidentally, as they were on the Sea of Galilee, Jesus had calmed the sea. There was a storm arose and Jesus calms the sea. So Jesus demonstrated on the Sea of Galilee his power over the natural world. Now, in this particular lesson here, Jesus is going to demonstrate his power over the spiritual world. So, verse 1 says they came to the other side of the sea, that is the Sea of Galilee. Now, verse 2 is going to describe what happened once they came ashore. Verse 2 and 3, "And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit who had his dwelling amongst the tombs." So as they exit the ship, there came immediately a demonic possessed man, a demon-possessed man. That's what happened. He met a demon-possessed man. Now, verses 3 and 4 tells us the man's condition. Here's the man's condition in 3 and 4. "And no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him." Now, this man was demon-possessed. He was had evil spirits in him, and they were powerful, as verses 3 and 4 tells us. He could not be bound. He was actually isolated, and no physical restraints could hold him. Okay. So he was demon possessed. He had a severe mental illness. Okay. And that was his condition. He could not be physically restrained. And what they resulted to is they had isolated him from the community. He could not live in the community. Now, let's go to 5. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. So he made his residence in the mountains, in caves, so he could not live in the community. He was considered an outcast because he was uncontrollable. Okay, and this lets us know that demons are real and demons are powerful. Okay, and that shows you what Satan. Now, demons are evil spirits that follow Satan. That's what demons are. Evil spirits that follow Satan. And they are real and they are powerful. And the condition that this man was in shows you what Satan can do to man. Okay? Because this man was in a bad condition. Okay? So that's what Jesus was confronted with as on his arrival, as they exit the boat on the east side of the Sea of Galilee. That's what they was met with, this demon-possessed man. And Jesus in this lesson is going to demonstrate his power over the spiritual world. He just demonstrated his power over the natural world by calming the Sea of Galilee. And now he's going to demonstrate his power over the spiritual world by healing this demonic possessed person. Now, the second outline is the confrontation. Okay, let's read, let's begin with the confrontation. And that's verse 6 and 7. Let's read verse 6 and 7 first. But when he saw Jesus, that is the demonic man, and when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshiped him and cried with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God?" Now, this is the demonic man speaking out, or namely the demon that possessed this man. So first of all, we see that when he saw Jesus, he ran and worshiped him. So the demons recognized Jesus, number one. They recognized him because they ran and worshiped him and cried with a loud voice saying, "What have I to do with thee?" So the demons recognized Jesus and they recognized his power and authority over evil spirits. Because they said, and they cried with a loud voice, saying, "What have I to do with thee?" And again, how they read, "Thou thy Son of the Most High God." This is what the demon said. So they recognize him as the Son of the Most High God. They recognize him, they recognize his power and authority in verse 6 and 7. Now, and verse 7 and 8, "I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not." In other words, we know the power you have and the authority you have. Please don't torment us. Okay. I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. Don't torment me. Don't torment us. For he said unto them, this is Jesus, for he said unto them, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. So Jesus spoke and said, and told the unclean spirit to come out of him. So Jesus heals and restores this demonic possessed man. And then verse 9 said, and he asked, what is thy name? Jesus said, what is your name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. Now, a legion referred to a 6,000. A legion referred to 6,000 Roman soldiers. Can you imagine being tormented by 6,000 different evil spirits? Now, this man, you're talking about a bad condition. He was in a bad condition, being tormented by around 6,000 evil spirits. Okay, so when Jesus asked the name, what is thy name? Verse 9. And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. Okay, now verse 10. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. So the legion, these demons, and probably they were controlled by maybe one head demon, but 6,000 evil spirit. So they begged Jesus not to send them out of the country. In verse 10, and he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. We want to stay in the area, but don't send us out of the country. In verse 11, now then there were nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. There was some swine feeding. And verse 12 and 13 says, and all the devils besought him, saying, send us into the swine, that we may enter them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. Whatever reason. Now, in verse, the latter part of 13 is going to tell you, there was about 2,000 swine. This herd of swine was numbered about 2,000, okay? So Jesus gave permission. I mean, he don't give any explanation, but Jesus gave permission for the swine for the demons to go into the herd of swine. It said 13 says, and forthwith Jesus gave them permission. And 13b said, and the unclean spirits went out, and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, as we said already, 2,000, and they were choked in the sea. That's verse 13. Now, it picks up at 18, but let me tell you what happened, okay? So the swine, the herd of swine all drowned, okay? And as a result, the people wasn't too pleased, no doubt the herd owners, because to lose 2,000 swine, because that's probably what they were livelihood, or at least that particular herd's person livelihood was swine, and 2,000 swine represent a lot of money. So they was unhappy with Jesus, and they requested he leave. Okay, you got to get out of here. Okay, you're destroying our property. Now, Jesus was more concerned. He had more concern for the human soul versus the soul of the swine. Okay. So Jesus had compassion on this man that was demon possessed. So his compassion was on the human soul. Okay. But obviously the men that lost this property, this personal property, they were upset most likely that you've destroyed some of our livelihood. So you got to get out of town, okay? So Jesus had to leave the area, okay? But Jesus had compassion. Jesus shows compassion on the demonic, okay? Jesus shows compassion on the demonic, and that's what Jesus is concerned with, the human soul. And then, okay, so after Jesus did this, okay, and after that, they found the man, the people found the man, he was dressed before he was not. He was dressed and in his right mind. In other words, his mind was restored. So Jesus restores this demonic man to his right mind. In other words, he was clothed, that is, had clothes on, and in his right mind. Okay, and then we pick up the story here, and verse 18, which is our third outline, is departures. This is as they getting ready to get in the boat to leave that area. And verse 18 says, and when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed that he might be with him. That is the demonic man. The prior demonic man. He's not demonic anymore. He's now in his right mind. Okay, the former demonic man. This is his words here. He prayed that he might be with him. He wanted to become a follower of Jesus Christ. Now, as I said, Jesus was no longer welcome there. So, and this is what Jesus' response in verse 19. In verse 18, the man wanted to become a follower of Jesus. Jesus responds in verse 19, howbeit Jesus suffered him not, but said unto him, go home to thy friends and tell them how great things the Lord had done for thee, and had compassion on thee. Now, this was Jesus' comment to this man after he had been set free. In other words, you will be better off doing this. And verse 20 will tell you what you will be better off doing. In other words, the short answer is be a witness. Okay. He said in 20, which is incidentally our key verse, verse 20. And he departed and began to publish in Decapolis. So basically he said in 19, Jesus said, go home to your friend, go home and become a witness. And 20, he departed and began to publish in Decapolis. That was the area in which the region that they landed when they got out of the ship in verse 1. That was the area was called Decapolis. And I think the lesson said that Decapolis was a grouping of 10 cities there, 10 cities. It was Decapolis. That was the area. Okay. So and he departed, began to publish in Decapolis how great things Jesus had done for him, and all men did marvel. So what Jesus is instructing the man, since I'm no longer welcome in this area, in this Decapolis area, this is your home. You go and be a witness and show what Jesus has done in your life, what I've done in your life. This is what you can do for me, is to help spread the gospel, help spread the message of salvation. Okay, and this is actually it's our last lesson about Jesus reaching those on the fringes. And I guess if you want to look at it, this is probably the most fringes you can get. This man had a severe mental illness. He was demon possessed. Okay. Nothing that they could do. They isolated this man from the rest of the community. Physical restraints could not contain him. But when he met Jesus, Jesus healed the man and restored the demon-possessed man to his right mind. And Jesus instructed him as he left the area to go into the community and show, be a witness. And that's what a witness is. A witness is someone that has first-hand knowledge of something. Okay, so he can be a perfect witness as to the compassion that Jesus had showed to him. And that was his Jesus' pardon words to the man: go and be a witness in Decapolis to your community as to what I've done, as to compassion that Jesus has for the human soul. And that's our lesson today. Jesus restores the demonic man to his right mind. In other words, Jesus shows his power over the spiritual realm. And we'd like to thank you for watching today. We ask you to join us next week for another edition of the Sunday School Review. Thank you.